Okay. So we have this Kangertech small, it's like the entry-level mod. It's called the K-Box Mini. It's a one battery, I think it goes to 90 watts. Some of them are modified up to 150 actually via firmware in your USB port. But what we have is the Kangertech. This is one of their larger tanks. It's a 5 milliliter tank. And this one has a Clapton in it right now. This Clapton has been used for months. I mean, it's time to be changed, way past time to be changed. We didn't get a Clapton at our store, but we did get a replacement coil. And this one here is also Kangertech. It's not a Clapton, but it'll do the job. So I'm going to show you how to disassemble it and show you how to reassemble it after it's done. I do want to point out that when you take your tank off, you want to clean this area real good. I haven't done that yet. You also want to get a Q-tip with some alcohol down into this contact point, and you want to clean that out really good, because they get super bad messed up and just crappy oil and juice and shit gets in there. So here's what you want to do. You always want to get you a little bit of water going. I try to get warm water started. So, all right, we're good with the water. Anytime, again, I've mentioned this in my videos before, but anytime you're going to reuse the coil, there's not too many coils that you actually can reuse, but anytime you're going to reuse it, you can get water on it if you're not going to reuse it. If you are going to reuse it, don't pour water through it, because it screws them up. Alright, so this bottom piece is the piece that's hard usually to get off. It's unscrewing it right now. When you're unscrewing it, it's actually loosening up this contact point where your glass settles in. So I'm just going to unscrew that real easy there. And this is a bottom filler, so this is actually what you do every time you fill. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm not going to take the gaskets out. You can, but you don't have to. I'm going to unscrew that top part right there. If you'll notice, this tank just slides down into this little beveled. It's a good construction, actually. I'm going to run water through this really, really, really good. All the way through, every bit of it. Usually water is enough to get all this caked up juice and residue off. You don't want to add a detergent to it because it hurts these seals. Set that aside. I set them in order of the disassembly. So that's the top piece. I'm going to set it down so that this middle piece can drip. I'm going to go with the tank next. There's that seal. Make sure you don't lose these things. If you run water through them and something comes off, have your fingers set, or you might want to put a drain stop in here, because I've lost seals before like that. And that seal is going to seep into the bottom right there in that ring. And that's where I'm actually going to put it. So I'm going to set that there. It's going to be top seal for the top of the tank, and then the bottom seal is going to go in here when I reassemble it. Alright, so let's get this coil off. It's actually it came off really easy. It's barely in there. And looking down in there, it's quite dark. It's definitely had more than its fair share of use. I usually run water through them and let them dry, and then I toss them. So this here, I'm going to put a little more pressure. There's a rubber seal down here at the bottom of that thread. Make sure that you don't undo that or lose it. You want to open up the air vents, if they have any, whenever you're cleaning these, so that water can run through all that and not be obstructed. Let's see if I can get this one. There we go. Open vent. See that water shooting out of the side of that vent right there? Cleaning that out. I honestly like them to be as wide open as you can get them on the bottom. I've always said that. I think you get a better deal. I put my fingers around the threads usually, wipe them really good. Take a pin loaded tip. Alright, should be about enough. So I'll blow through them too and get that water pushed through so that all the water's kind of not sitting in there. We're going to let this dry and then we'll reassemble it. Alright, so it's dried enough. I usually will make sure that the holes are over to the 3. If you keep turning this around, it actually goes to where there's 2 open. Most people think that it doesn't have enough holes. There's just 1. You keep twisting, there's just one in the middle, but you keep twisting and it'll give you an option where there's all three, like this, and it clicks into place. I recommend that you do that on the bottom of them. Just have the bottom open. It works better, in my opinion. So we're going to take the atomizer, we're going to get it down here, and we're going to thread it in, and you want to go nice and finger snug, and I don't mean barely finger snug, good finger snug, just like that. I didn't go as strong as I could, but I went pretty tight. So you want to do that. Now the next piece is going to be this rubber seal. The rubber seal needs to go down and seat. You actually want to kind of push it into this if you can. Let's see. No, it just sits there. It's going to sit there. It'll go down when I get the glass on it. So we're going to get that glass seated right there, and in there you can see that it's fitted, pressed against that seal. Now when I come down here with this and start to thread it, it's going to put it all together. You got to hold the bottom piece and not the respirator. Hold the bottom piece still, crank that in, and you look at the top, you can see that gap. That glass is getting tighter and tighter into that beveled rubber gasket. You want to get them nice and finger tight. Doesn't have to be as tight as can be, but you do want to get it pretty tight. So I grab the bottom pretty nice, grab the top pretty nice, and just snug. Alright, so we've got the tank together. We're going to go ahead and screw it back onto the mod. Alright, so we're going to fill this bad boy up with some half. I don't use the whole thing, because what if it leaks? Don't fill it all the way to the top. Get at least over the atomizer, because whenever the juice wicks in there, it's going to drop. So I'm going to fill up juice probably halfway through this tank. I'm going to put a few drops down through the top. You just put like 1 drop, 2, and it just helps get the top of the cotton nice and wicked so that you don't burn any of the cotton when you first hit it. Alright, we'll do that. We'll come back in a second. Alright, I've mentioned this in my prior videos, but I want to make sure it's worth noting every time. Before you do your big hit, my cameraman, you can't trust anybody. Before you do your big hit, you want to make sure that you get some of the vacuum started, so you want to do a small puff. You don't hit your fire button, you just kind of puff on this, just a small suck. You don't take a big toke, you just go. Just like that. What you're doing is you're pulling suction through, and it helps get that moisture in there to wick. The first hits on your atomizer might taste a little chemically, almost like plastic or something, because there's a coating that they use to preserve those atomizers, and sometimes that'll come off whenever it burns. So here's the first small hit. I got this Kanger on 40 watts. Just a little bit coming out. I've already seen respiration bubbles coming out of the atomizer. That's good. It's got that taste. It's starting to mix in through there. I'm starting to taste the flavor of the juice. I don't see any leaking at all at the base. Respiration's coming through. So I'm going to give it a harder hit now. You can hit harder when you have these air holes open, by the way. If they're really hard to hit, it feels like you're sucking just thick gook through the straw. It's probably because that air vent is closed off at the bottom. So get that opened up. That's nice. This is actually my son's mod. He's the one filming me right now that doesn't know how to put the camera up top whenever I'm talking to the camera. But he's going to like this. This one's hitting really good. It's good to go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, comment, whatever you got to do. If you don't, just stick me a picture with you with your middle finger. See you next time. Keep vaping.